Welcome back to another episode of Northern Star the Boat. Still not a lot of progress on the engine servicing, gearbox, reduction box repairs. Still not a lot of any great interest to report on. So going to have a little bit of a look today at the battery box and wiring and electrical power supply. So what's triggered this has been yet again ongoing problems with the bilge pump, working, not working, etc. I'm now on bilge pump number 3. Had a gutsful, I need to start working out what's going on. So stick with us and hope you enjoy the episode. Well, good morning, and again good morning. A beautiful morning in the Waikao Marina, Marlborough Sounds. Just down at the boat. I come and ventilate it. It's a little bit cold in the morning, so we're still getting quite a lot of condensation. The old shag out there having a good fish in the marina. So my apologies, I did have an episode ready to go, but unfortunately, due to technical and operator error, I lost everything. And couldn't retrieve any of the recordings that I had saved. So, a bit of a shame, but I'm down cobbling together something today with some of the other recordings that I still have. So thanks for your patience. I see we're getting quite a few people subscribing now, which is really awesome. So it's sort of quite encouraging, to be honest, that people are interested in what's going on with the old boat, albeit in the raw condition that we're making these under, and the constant delays in getting the boat mobile again and finding something of interest for people to watch. Right, you will see from some of the time-lapse stuff that I did manage to save off the cheap cruddy camera. Came down the other day to ventilate the boat. It'd been pretty cold. In fact, the weather overnight had been as cold enough to freeze the balls of a brass monkey. So I came down to ventilate the boat. And the process of that, got down the bilge and had a look. Thought, there's a little bit more water in the bilge, which wasn't a lot than there usually is. And once again, bilge pump not working. Couldn't get it to work. I don't know what's wrong with it. It just seems to be a constant reoccurring theme since I've owned the boat with the bilge pump down there, and I don't know what the problem is. You get them working, they stop working, they work, they don't work, and so on and so forth. So anyway, this is... I picked up the bilge pump. It was an automatic bilge pump and the float's fallen off it. And it's fitted with a guard to the bottom of the bilge, and I couldn't get it to work at all. The little plastic retaining clip that holds the float on has gone. That's why the float's fallen off. I don't know what the problem is, but I did happen to notice while I was mucking around with it, I could hear a very faint noise coming from inside it. Almost sounded to me like something was shorting, and not a particularly comfortable sound, but I came up, turned the power off, turned it on again, turned it off, couldn't hear it, turned it on, could hear it. So there was definitely something going on inside the pump. Now, whether it was a short or not, or something else was going on, I don't know. So anyway, as part of the ongoing problem involving the bilge pump, I decided I needed to get it sorted out. I couldn't get it running. Previously I'd had problems with it turning on and off repeatedly, and I installed that non-return valve just above the outlet from the pump itself, thinking that what was happening was it was lifting water up a significant height, would reach a point where it would drain as much out of the bilge as it could, and what wasn't past the neck in the outlet flowed back down into the bilge reactivated the float again, and it was trying to lift that last remaining fluid out of it. And the pump was going on, off, on, off, on, off, and it was just, something wasn't right. So I installed that, and I thought that would resolve the issue, but clearly not. So anyway, I popped down to the local chandlery store, and I picked up a Seaflow pump. They're on sale at the moment, and it was about $105, I think. I initially thought I might have been able to just swap one in and one out, but no, they're a different size and design. So this is a 750 gallon per hour 12 volt Seaflow with an automatic float. How it differs from this, I don't quite know. There's something, this is a auto iTech bilge pump, whatever the hell that is, as opposed to simply a manual float switch system. Quite ruggedly built. Online I had a bit of a look at it, and it seems to be quite a good pump system. So I purchased one of those, and I brought it down to the wiring at the back of the boat and the bilge to wire it up. I thought, well, I've only got a 2-wire feed down there, being positive and negative, very similar to previous pumps that I actually had, and I believe the same thing as this one here. It's got 3 wires. You have a negative, then you have a positive for manual, and one for automatic. So I thought I'd wire the positive and the negative up, terminate the 3rd wire, and it would be directly wired in, and it would work, and it'd be fine. So as previous pumps have been done. So anyway, so I got into the bilge. I did exactly that. Initially, when you saw that there, brown wire, red positive tag on it, one would think that that was your main feed. The guesswork was whether it was the manual or the automatic positive. So I wired it up, went down there, turned the power on, got down, and there was a little bit of a delay in it starting. I got down there, it started, fired up, but wouldn't turn off when I turned the pump back over, or I activated the little manual float switch mechanism there. So I realised I had wired up the wrong wire. So the black was wired up correctly. The brown wire was the one I had wired into the power, and I had terminated the brown and white. So the brown and white wire, as it turned out, according to the instructions, is the wire for the automatic, which is that one there. So that's the wire for the automatic, brown and white, automatic. The brown for the manual, and black is for the earth. And theoretically, you need enough wiring down there for 3 wires, or to be able to take off a wire to the earth, well, however that works. So anyway, so I tried that, I rewired it, didn't work, and decided what I was going to do was maybe there was some sort of inbuilt safety feature, a diode or similar within the pump, that 3rd wire needed to be wired up. I don't quite understand why that would be the case, because other pumps don't have it, and I wouldn't imagine that this would either. So in the end, I went down and I bought a bilge pump switch, because the boat doesn't have one. It was effectively a straight on and off, because the power supply is run from here, pump, and direct feeds to the pump that was in there, and as long as it was on, there was power to it, and theoretically it would work. So I put it down and sat down in the bilge there with it, and put everything through the complicator. Wasn't able to sort it out, so decided to take everything home, get online, check it all out and see what was what and come up with a plan. And particularly a plan with how I was going to fit it, because quite frankly it's been the bane of my life, that bilge pump, and wallowing around in slightly oily bilge waters. And as I said, previously there's not a lot of water that comes in at all, none through the hull. It's all coming in through a bit of rain that we get through various leaks topsides. So I went back down to the chandlery. I bought a small bus bar, bought 5 metres of wire. I was going to upsize it and go for a heavier duty wire, but the next size up was something like $10.99 a metre as opposed to $5.99 a metre. This gauge wiring is more than sufficient to run the bilge pump, and I thought, well, what I would do would be to tap into my 12 volt house system, because as far as I could work out, I have a 12 volt and a 24 volt. Run some short wires to the bus bar, run some wires to a switch, and I would put the switch up here because I'm intending to use this area here for meter box or switches for all the auxiliary accessories. Get it off here and get it sorted out, and then run the wiring back down into the bilge using the wire. Do away with dodgy fittings and just once and for all try and sort it out. So that was alright. I went home, did some research, and worked out that within the switch here is quite a cool switch. There's a little LED light that must, I would say, potentially stay on when the power's to it. Two-way or three-way, automatic, off, manual, and it's spring-loaded manual. You can't leave it on, inevitably burn your pump out. However, you can leave it in the off position and your pump won't work, obviously. It appears that there's some little LED lighting in the switch itself, which may or may not come on depending on the position it's in. I don't know. We'll find out when we wire it up. So here's a fuse. It's a fuse system. So working out the brown and white wire is the automatic. So that would be wired on into there, into here. So I'm hoping you're getting this. The screen's gone off, so the brown and white wire for the automatic, the brown wire to the manual. There's a main power feed here. Obviously goes through the fuse, jumps over into the switch to power the switch. This power pops back into the LED lights, and obviously the earth or neutral being the black wires. So pretty straightforward. So that's why I potentially bought an extra wire. I've only got two wire lengths available, so I'd run a good earth back as well, and I would just hook into here and the earth on the pump of the three-way fitting to the end of the black wire, run it up to the earth. That was a plan. Well, how wrong was I? The two small batteries you can see there I thought were the 12 volt house bank batteries, and the larger deep cycle battery and smaller battery that you can also see was the starting batteries. Absolutely wrong. When I started to have a look, I realised the entire system was 24 volt system. There is a 12 volt drawer coming off the house bank, well, one of the house bank batteries, and that battery I tested with the voltmeter and found it to be sitting at about 0.7 volts. The main battery, the larger of the two, the deep cycle one, was sitting at about 14 volts. The solar regulator is hooked up. I'm unsure which battery it is keeping charged. It may very well be charging the larger of the two houseboat batteries, but my understanding is you can draw 12 volts off a 24 volt system. However, it only draws current off one of the battery banks, which means that no matter how much you charge the system, that one battery that the draw is coming from will always be different to the other batteries in the bank, which is not ideal. The only other alternatives to this are a complete standalone 12 volt system with a 12 volt battery, or you invest in a 24 to 12 volt converter, which I did have installed in there and removed yesterday. When I say it was connected, it wasn't connected. The only wire connected was the earth, or the neutral, whatever you call it, and the power and power out wires weren't connected. I discovered that there are 3 separate banks on that fuse switch, a 24 volt, 12 volt and neutral, or negative earth ground, whatever you call it, and a loose wire on the 12 volt from the 12 volt battery. Right, down here, the main feed of the battery, that comes up from up there. We are looking at three volts. So we're only getting 3 volts. Maybe 3.3, 3.5. Four volts. Could be a poor connection. There seems to be about 4 volts. It doesn't look very flash at all, to be honest. Right, back to the battery box. The engine starting batteries are a separate bank, as are the house bank. It's all 24 volt. I can flick a lever over to use the house bank to start the engine in case the battery bank, starting battery bank, is compromised or flattened. There are 3 separate banks on that fuse panel that you can see, 12, 24 and a neutral or earth side. The switches that power the various accessories, including the marine radio, the chart plotter, are 12 volt. 2 switches on the closest side to my hand are basically 24 volt. The navigation lights, internal cabin lights are all 24 volt. The only 12 volt items in the boat are the marine radio, chart plotter, bilge pump and fresh water pump, and I would dare say the power supply coming off the one battery, and now down to 7 volts, that battery, and the loose connection haven't done anything any favours. I had a bit of a poke around inside there following wiring to confirm what I had discovered. The Maxwell windlass connections were also very poorly done. A screw screwed into the top of one of the posts and wire wrapped around it as an example. All the wiring for the autopilot has all been professionally done. I then tracked through wires disappearing from the 12 volt 24 volt system and the solar regulator, which you'll see there, that has just been compressed underneath the nut on the top of the battery posts. So all in all, the system needs some work. Everything needs labelling. It's in pretty good condition. it's just a rat nest of wiring. Yeah, closer look at the back of the switches there. The switches, those ones I'm pointing to are 24 volt, the balance are 12 volt. That is a earth or neutral bus bar. That is the ignition switch. And underneath that is the lever for changing between the house and the starter battery banks. You can see to the left there, I tracked down the 12 volt feed in behind the helm, and there it is there. There's not much connected to it. Basically runs up and supplies the power at the top to the marine radio, a chart plotter, fish finder, all the gauges and everything else at 24 volt. I hope you enjoyed having a little bit of a look at the electrics. Any advice or tips you might have, throw it in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the episode, click like, share, subscribe, all that sort of drama, and hopefully see you again for the next episode.